So
Yes, y'all.
today is books that will make you a better designer. So we're going to talk about reading material for us kind of folk. So all right, here we go. I'll do the intro or whatever. I don't even know if this works. I don't watch the replays, guys. I should.
That's why I come to this.
Yeah, I know. And actually I realized the other day that we're missing a couple that haven't been edited and posted yet. So I will get better. I will do better. Cool. All right. Welcome to the design workshop with the ArtSpeak Creative Community. It's June 1st. Happy June 2023. We're almost all the way to the halfway point already. Feels like we just celebrated the new year. Anyways, welcome to the June design workshop. Today we are talking books that will make you a better designer. Sweet. Look at that. It's on my face. So we'll be looking at a few books. I've got like a stack right here, and I'll kind of tell you titles and why and whatever, and then I want to hear from you guys here what maybe books you've read or want to read or whatever. But first, I got 3 points. I don't have my notes up. I'm gonna get my notes here too. Add to the brightness of my face. But this title, Books That Will Make You a Better Designer, kind of makes us ask the question, what makes us a better designer? And so I want to hit on that real quick. And there's 3 points here. We've got concept, execution, inspiration. So if we're wanting to be a better designer, we need to kind of solidly grasp concepts that influence and direct our work, so could be design principles, just kind of those basic principles. It could be specific to our certain area, for Joe, for like motion graphics or animation or video, like what we were talking about before. It could be like animation concepts, keyframing, and where did that come from and why is that a thing? Back in like hand drawn animation, they draw here and here, and then they'd fill in the between to make the motion work and be smooth. And so there's these concepts that we can learn that will help us in what we're doing. They're really high level. They're not exactly how to do something, but they're the idea behind something or the kind of the principle behind it for design. So what makes us better designers is understanding concepts. And then also the execution part. We grow and expand our skills, the things that we do every day that we need to get better at, or we need to know more of, for type, it's, all the different parts of a letter and what makes that letter that shape and why. Okay, well, now that I know these bits, I can make better letters, or I can manipulate letters in a more effective way that's going to kind of help me in what I need to do for a certain project or whatever. Same with photography. Like, you can know how to kind of work a camera, but once you know the actual workings of that camera, here's how you're going to set your ISO, or here's how you're going to do this and that, you're going to be able to use that camera more effectively. So concepts, execution, and then inspiration is kind of that final one. You can know concepts and you can be really good at executing these different things, but if you're not inspired creatively, if you're not kind of taking in inspiration from different sources, then you're going to run dry in your creative juice eventually, and you're just not going to be able to produce. You're not going to be able to use these concepts and skills that you've developed in what you need to do. So I think those 3 things, brief overview really quick, those are 3 things that really make us better as designers. That's how we get better as designers, is we refresh or learn new concepts and principles. We kind of expand our skills and our execution skills, and then we continually need to be inspiring ourselves. And inspiring can be revisiting things that inspire us, like for me, and we'll hit on this in a bit, like for me growing up, Calvin and Hobbes inspired, like my imagination was just charged by Calvin and Hobbes, and it still is. And so I have on this, this shelf behind me, I've got tons of Calvin and Hobbes books, and it's good for me to go just look at those and see the art and read the just funny things and whatever. But then you can revisit, but you can also discover new inspiration. So new books of inspiration or new sources. Yeah. So let's get on with it. Let's see here. First up, for in the grouping of concept, these books you might could like put them in other groups, you know, execution or inspiration, but for what I'm kind of focusing on, these are concepts. So first off is Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. So in this, he's talking about 10 principles that kind of free up your creativity, that help you be a better artist. And that's why I put this in the concept, is because it's, you know, from him, he's saying it's 10 principles. And so it's ways of thinking about art and doing the creative process that are going to help free you up to do the art and the creative process more. And so he's not talking specifically to designers in this book, but as creative people, these concepts and principles apply to what we're trying to do. So, like he let's see here. Let's read the table of contents. So, he's got chapters like don't wait until you know who you are to get started. Write the book you want to read. Use your hands. Be nice. Be boring. And he kind of expounds on these principles and how that affects your creativity and in your process. So it's also super easy to read. It's very like visually fun. You know, it's just small little book. You can pick it up and read one of the principles and move along with your day after that. All right, next. I'm going to go through these quick, so I want plenty of time to talk. This is a textbook. This is from design school for me. It's called Design for Communication, Conceptual Graphic Design Basics. So this one is, what did I say in my notes? Complete coverage of basic design principles, teaches you how to think as a designer. So there's another good phrase here. Mastering the basic design principles, conceptual problem-solving methods, and critical thinking skills that distinguish graphic designers from desktop technicians. So if you don't want to be just a pixel pusher or, you know, kind of a production designer, books like this that teach you principles and how to think about design are the way to go. So some of the something that's great about this one is it has, and like I said, this is from college. So I think the copyright on this one was like 2008. A lot has happened in 15 years, but the principles have not changed. It has lots of great examples, but it is a textbook, so it's very text heavy. It's kind of technical and deep. And then it has exercises though to take these principles and practice them. So that's where this could go and maybe execute or something. But some of the, again, table of contents, like we have in the introduction, what is graphic design? What do graphic designers do? And like, that's kind of something that you're like, oh, I can answer that. But when you read this stuff, you're going to be like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Or that's coming at an angle from what I didn't really grasp before. And then we have another section, elements and principles of design. Another section, typography as image, grids and visual hierarchy, visual advocacy. Like, what's that? You know, so it's really going to help you think about design and think as a designer needs to. Another concept book specific to UX designers and what it's the content, but it's a principle driven book. So, and the thing that UX, user experience design, gets right is having empathy for your audience and knowing your audience and thinking through what do they need, what are they looking for, and then how do I design to that specifically. So those principles are in here. So sometimes what we miss in graphic design and some of the fields that we're in is the I know everybody on this call right now, I know you are good at this, but just generally speaking, what we miss is thinking about our audience and designing specifically for them. Instead, we kind of design, oh, this looks cool, or this is a trend, this is what I want to do. And we have a disconnect there. So this will help you think empathetically as a designer. Again, it's specifically about UX, so there's going to be but here, I just turned to a page and the heading is think about the culture you are designing for. So that can apply, to graphic design, to any design. But there are specific things to UX design, but those are good things to know and to learn as far as your user experience. Because again, I think the idea of user experience design is a much wider concept, and it applies to kind of what we do. So UX Bytes, I don't even know if I said the title. UX Bytes by Gabriel Kermeyer, maybe. But it's a good one. So also just a disclaimer, I've read all of these all the way through at some point or another. The ones from college might be a little bit, might have been a little bit since I've done that. So I could probably refresh my memory. All right, last one in execute. Way out of left field. But all right, understanding comics. This will make you a better designer because it's all about visual communication. So the phrase here, what is it? How words combine with pictures to work their singular magic. That's a cool phrase. But just about this is mostly about comics and how to draw comics and how to kind of construct them. But what you're going to learn in it is visual storytelling, which is a foundational concept for design anyways. How do you arrange things in a layout to make sense? How do you have things interact to kind of tell a story and to communicate something specific? So visual communication, visual storytelling, understanding comics. This one is also, it's not a textbook, although I think it is used as a textbook in some places, but it's a comic. Like it's this guy talking to you and taking you through certain things and concepts. And some of it won't apply directly, but hopefully it's still inspiring. And then you are going to get those higher level concepts that are going to help you learn how to visually communicate. Also, there's a whole section on the history of comics, which is just nerdy and awesome and whatever. So, all right, moving on to the execute section of books. We only have 3 here, and then I have a few inspiration ones, but these are, and these so far have been specific to my experience and what I've read and what I know. So that's why I want to hear from you guys. And, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just, that's why we've got the general title, books that will make you a better designer, not the only books that will make you. Anyways, all right, thinking with type. This one is so good. There's a newer edition of this. I think it has an orange cover. But this is by Ellen Lupton, who is actually a kind of a legendary type designer and all that. But it's got, let me go to the table of contents here. It does have some concepts, but it's going to mostly teach you like about letters and about type and about text, all these different things, anatomy of letters and anatomy of type. Let's see. Section 1 is letter, anatomy, size, classification, families, big families, designing, logo types, screen fonts. And then another section, text, kerning, tracking, line spacing. So this is like specific to skills and how to do it and what it is and executing on those skills. So it is a textbook, but it's maybe not as fun as some of the others visually, but it's still visually engaging. It's got lots of great examples, lots of like super solid exercises and things you can do to kind of test out what you're learning and learn it better. I love this grid. It's got all these windows and craziness going on, and they kind of go in depth on how to build your grid and how to design to it and how to work with it and type. So There's that first execution. Next one, designing brand identity. Another textbook, but sorry, it is what it is. This is one, again, I did in college, so the copyright is a little bit old, but again, the principles still apply. In the execute section, though, maybe there might be some things that have been, modified or replaced. But this one is, this is a phrase from the back here, but a walk through a 5-phase process for creating and implementing effective brand identity. So this is going to give you kind of the steps of working through designing the brand identity. And it goes pretty wide too. I mean, I know there's like market research sections in here, kind of in the first part. It has a section brand basics, and then this other one, brand identity ideals. It's going to talk through what you need to be thinking about, what you need to know, what you need to consider, and has great examples from kind of past brands and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is another one, Designing Brand Identity by Alina Wheeler. There you go. There might be a new edition of this one. This is 3rd edition. Yeah, also the subtitle, an essential guide for the whole branding team. As designers, that awareness of all the different aspects of the process is pretty important, though. All right, last execute. I'm just going. So here we go. Lettering manual, House Industries lettering manual. I think I referenced this in another design workshop, maybe, or in a meeting recently. This is all about not so much just type. Like we looked at thinking with type. This one's about lettering, hand lettering, letters, manipulating fonts and letters to kind of make unique typographic executions and projects. So this is by Ken Barber, who's just legendary in type and lettering. This is part of it is kind of conceptual, but most of it is examples of his work and how he did it and his process behind it. He's going to talk about, like this one here. This is an anatomy of ends and getting into the bolder weights and what happens specifically as you get from lighter weight to bolder weight. And then how do you use and manipulate that in your lettering when you're building letters and stuff. So I'd said I've read all these. This one I am in the process of. I am up most of the way through it. I think I lost my bookmark in preparing for today, but it's been really good. Yeah. So, and this, something else that's great is he goes into how to build the letters like in Illustrator or in a vector program, like the best practices and the ways that you do that effectively. So that one's excellent. All right. So those were like the main 7 in concept and execute. Inspiration is very subjective. So I'll share some that inspire me. And this is probably like the biggest category in general. Like that was 7. And over here for inspiration, I have 6 more. Because I have a lot of books that inspire me. Yeah, so I'll share with you guys mine real quick. This is the CSA archive, which is a great website. I might have referenced this book at some point too. I actually got this for free because I bought some like stock from them during a promo period and they were sending out these books. But this is, so CSA is they've been around for decades. I can't remember what it stands for. It's somebody's name, I think.
Charles S. Anderson.
Yeah, thank you, Charles S. Anderson. But it's his design work, and then his turned into his firm's work, and they've now just taken all the work they've done over the years, and it's stock, and you can buy it from them and use it, license it. But this book it's this thick, and it's not exhaustive of all their work. It's specific to where's the category on this one? Wow, I don't know. This was like volume 2 or something. It's funny it's not on the, oh, this one's volume 1. I think there's 3 of these. So this is just like 1/3 of all their work. That's just kind of this black and white stock, whatever. So, anyways, this inspires me. I love it. All the different ways. I mean, there's illustrations, there's type examples, there's all kinds of amazing things in this that, I'll just like kind of page through and see, oh, that's how they did that. That's great. Oh, I've never seen that before. That's a great way to arrange those letters, stuff like that. So, inspiration number one. Inspiration number two, World Football Club crests. Super cool. Got this for Christmas last year or whatever. So if it's a soccer club around the world, it has a history on their different crests, why, what it is. Like Tottenham Hotspur is a rooster. So this that's the reverse. That's the original. Here's the evolution of it. I can't do the mirrored. But anyways, so, and it tells you like who designed it and the history of it, why it is what it is. Super interesting, super nerdy for me, very inspiring. Last one, or not last one, second last one. American trademarks, historical trademarks. I like the vintage stuff. I don't know, like all the vintage type and all that. And it goes by kind of, it's organized in subject, but it's also goes by decade within those subjects. So this one here, what is this? Circles and shapes. But this is all in the 1920s, 1930s, like all these type examples in 1920s and 30s. There's this category world imports. Just got lots of great branding, trademark examples. So American trademarks, a compendium. And then my last, oh, wait, no, sorry, that was third to last, guys. I'm almost done. Calvin and Hobbes, like I mentioned before, I love the art style. I love the content, the subject of what Bill Watterson wrote about in his comics. It's like this. Calvin is this amazingly smart and savvy kid, except when he's not, which is really funny. And then his pet tiger, it's his stuffed animal that he imagines is real, interacting with him in that, and they go on adventures and whatever. So it's just great for imagination and whatever. And the art style is unrivaled. Last one here, ephemera. This was put together by a designer named Joshua Minnick. He does a lot of lettering design and vintage inspired stuff. So this is his personal collection of ephemera. So things that had a short life and were meant to be discarded, and just like the beauty of these old things that were packaging or one use, one and done, thrown away, and that he's found in antique stores and whatever. Don't look too closely at this stuff, because then you'll see like where I've lifted my inspiration from sometimes. Just kidding, I tried to change it up, but yeah, all these old packaging, you can get all kinds of ideas from this stuff. So that's yeah. And while I'm seeing it here, this is, if you collect things yourself for inspiration, just put it somewhere. Things that you like or whatever, just grab it. Anyways, I'm done rambling. I know that was a lot. Thanks for listening, sticking with me. So what about you guys? Which books make you a better designer? What do you guys like? Where do you go to? What have you read that's helped you grow and learn? Anything?
Yeah, of course, Feel Like an Artist. That's a pretty there's a lot of good stuff in that book, and it's so short. You can read it in like an hour or two.
Yeah.
The whole thing done. Another book that I have is called, I don't have it on me, but it's called Making and Breaking the Grid.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, that one was I was like very interested in grids and like using them in design, but I've always kind of been held back by like, I'm not exactly sure how to make them. like how to functionally use them. I like get them in theory, but in practice it's a little more complicated.
Yeah.
But that book was able to kind of help me think about it in more tangible ways.
Nice.
So I'm convicted because I don't read a lot. I usually go on Instagram and find like little tutorials or find inspiration through like different designers. But a book that I do go to, like when like creating logos, and it's like a popular, you know, this book.
Nice.
So
I have that on a wish list right now. I almost bought it the other day.
I can send it to you.
What?
Well, shipping might be expensive, but I can send it if you want. So you don't
No,
have.
what? No, that's your book, Bria. Don't give me your book.
That book is in my Amazon cart, and my wife keeps taking it out of there because
Yeah.
it's like one of
It's
those
like
things I guess we
$60.
don't need. Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I got it for free because I don't
Nice.
remember paying for it. I don't know how I got it, but yeah.
So does it have it has examples, right? It's
Yeah.
just like modern logo examples. And
Yeah, I have a lot of like.
There's two of them, aren't there?
yeah, there's logo modernism, and then like it's like more of a historical, what's it called? I have that one. It's a blue. It's in my
Yeah, there's a red and blue. Yeah.
Yeah, this book is bigger than my head, but it has all these examples. Like it kind of categorized them like in nature, like A's, B's, and all that crap of different logos. So
Mhm.
really like it.
The other one is called Logo Beginnings. It's
Yeah.
like early marks and logos and stuff. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad you shared that.
I have some books.
Oh,
I have-
nice.
It's interesting. I have some of the same books you have, but like what is it, that logo one? Hang on. Mine is a different cover. Yeah, sorry, I robbed my shelves and there's just tons of stuff on the shelves.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's the same one, but it has a different cover.
I think that's the newer edition. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I've seen this one with another cover other than the one you showed too, which
Oh,
it's
really?
just crazy
Okay.
how many are out there. Oh, so I have a lot of inspiration books that I love. This is pretty random, but this is called Four Color Fear. And so
Oh,
this is reprintings of like 1950s comics, but what's wonderful about them is you probably won't be able to see the detail. Yeah, there's no way to see it. So stuff used to be screen printed.
yeah.
And then when all these companies started like digitizing them and like releasing them in what's called omnibus, like book version, they like remastered them. But really, what is it? They just recolored it. And so like the actual screen printing process of like the tone values is so I would rather look at that than some weird computer colored thing.
Yeah.
This book is so cool. Atari, there was a weird video game bust in the mid 80s, and people equated it to that the promotional art was so much better than the graphics of the game. And it's interesting that people felt that because I always looked at like Nintendo and Atari as like you're supposed to use your imagination and theater of the mind, because obviously it's not going to look like a real thing, but whatever. This is interesting from just a variety of things. This is called Mr. Product. There's 2 volumes of this. I have the other one. I think the other one's like on my nightstand or something. It just goes over all the marketing mascots,
Like oh, that's cool.
of various things, because like mascots were used to sell everything in like the 50s and 60s.
Mascots are making a comeback. I feel like they took a back seat for a while, but I feel like there's more of an interest in that lately. But
This is just Mars Attacks, not the movie, but the cards that it was based off of. It's a great art book. It's also the dust jacket on it. It's made out of the same material the cards were wrapped in, like a wax paper.
oh, cool.
Someone at some point told me that when they were interning at a really big place, they made all their interns read Know Your Onions. And so I bought this, and this is like a great, at least when I read it, things may have changed a little bit. There wasn't as much like digital press as there was back then. Really good intro to just the fundamentals of like getting stuff printed, just the more technical process of sometimes beyond just creating art, like the industry sort of technicalities of it all.
Yeah, that's
Junk types, awesome.
yeah.
So like House Industries made this book and they basically equate every major project they did to just being, this is something we were interested at this phase in life. So they really found a way to take their passions and just completely make that into what they do, because there's so much artistry and craft and so many variety of things you can find in art form and anything that really, no matter what you're passionate about, like there is art that can be done and made with that.
That one's in my Amazon cart also. It was on sale like for like $30.
Oh, that's a grab.
Yeah, it's normally like 50 and I didn't buy it. Now it's back up.
Draplin's book is good too.
Yeah.
Because just what Draplin does, but mostly just his rationale for why his art is what his art is it reminds me a lot of the House Industries book, in terms of it's just like this guy that just wants to make rad stuff that his friends like.
Yeah.
And like that being his motivator is very relatable.
Yeah, I love his attitude about stuff. Like sometimes I'm like, this is an act, but I don't think it is. He's just like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, I just think it's awesome. He just does it. So
that energy, if you can find a way to take that energy and put it in your art, I think it's becoming a very commercially acceptable thing. Like maybe it wasn't as much, decades back, but now that's what people want their stuff to look like. They don't want it to feel fun. They want it to feel relatable. They want it to feel something people look at and just think that's cool, and then associate that idea with them.
Right. I think that's going to be more important too as AI stuff comes into play, because AI can't replicate. It can
absolutely
can replicate the look of something, but it's not going to have. I mean, that's a big conversation right now, but it's not going to have that soul or that the things that I really like when I create them. AI isn't going to be putting that into it. So it's the advantage that you have as a human. But nice. Any other thoughts? Any other books? I have a whole Amazon list of books that are just creative things too. Some of these are on them, but some, like The Creative Act, A Way of Being, that's a recent book that looks awesome. I think somebody shared about that. It might have been you, Joe. Do you have that book?
Yeah, I do.
It has the circle on the front. Yeah.
Yeah.
Art of Lettering, that's another Ken Barber book. Sign Painting, A Practical Guide to Tools, Materials, and Techniques. I'm gonna buy that someday. I have Making or Breaking the Grid in this list, Deets. Another Austin Kleon book, Show Your Work, which is really great. I don't have it.
I haven't read any of his other books. What are they like?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure they're similar to Still Like an Artist, but are they as good, I guess?
Yeah, he followed a similar format. Like it's the same size, it has a similar look. Show Your Work is yellow with black text on the front. And it says 10 ways to share creativity and get discovered. So that's more about, as a creative, like sharing your work and sharing what you're doing, and kind of what we're just talking about. Like, what are you excited about? What are you into? Tell people about, let them see it. And that's going to, it's kind of from maybe like a independent designer or freelancer angle, or like that's going to help people, go to you and see what you're doing and say, I want you to do that for me, kind of thing. So I have another book, Inside Paragraphs, Typographic Fundamentals. I want to dive into that. Anyways, I have a whole list. The Laws of Creativity, Your Originality, or Unlock Your Originality and Awaken Your Creative Genius. Yeah. So Designing Type, Designing Fonts, Art and Faith, A Theology of Making. That sounds really interesting. I've got this massive list that, Bria, I'm actually with you. Don't be deceived. I don't read that much. I just have books that I like that are cool that I flip through, and then sometimes I'll get lucky and I'll read most of them. Well, cool.
That's the beauty of art books, is there's not as much to read as like normal books. Like that Creative Act book, it's a lot of reading.
Yeah, it's all words. That 4-color fear, Joe, I'm adding that to my list. That one looks awesome. So cool. Anything else? Uh-oh.
I'll, I'll see books on Mike's shelf that I can read the covers to, and I'll look them out. And there's been a couple I bought that way. That is like, how did I find that book? It was on one of your guys' shelves, and I couldn't see the book, so I bought it.
Back. What were you talking about, Joe?
I was just saying, sometimes if I'm in a call with one of you and I can see a book on your shelves that looks interesting, I may just go out and buy the book. And like
Nice.
the fact that you guys owned it was enough for me to be like, yeah, good enough.
Nice. That's cool. Well, sweet.
He sent me a lettering book one time.
Oh, really?
Well, it was like, yeah, it was a book that he didn't like use anymore. He mailed it to me. It was similar to the lettering manual you showed, where it like talks about kind of letter anatomy.
Yeah. Nice. Good old Uriah. Oh yeah, we were supposed to talk bad about him. I guess we didn't do that. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Well, cool. That wraps the June design workshop. Thank you guys for being here. And if you're watching this on the replay after the fact, be sure to comment your design inspiration books or books that make you a better designer, or hop in the community with us and talk design books, design Instagrams, design movies, whatever. We'll see you there. Sweet, guys. See you next month. Oh, I gotta do the promo. Next month, the Ashley Ulmer is sharing her process with us on she's got that style, right? This like doodle kind of whatever style. She's going to share behind the scenes on some projects she's done with ArtSpeak and her process there and how she did it, where her inspiration comes from, and all that kind of stuff. So July will be the Ashley Ulmer extravaganza behind the scenes good time presentation. So anyways, we'll see you guys next time.